Hey everyone, welcome to Alpha to Sky. In today's session, we are going to discuss three important conventions of the international aviation: the Rome Convention, the Geneva Convention, and the Cape Town Convention. Don't worry, I'll keep it very simple and focused so that you can understand easily. Let's get started. So the Rome Convention was held in 1952. In the early days of aviation, during the 1920s to 30s, aircraft technology was developing fast, and so was the international air travel. But one serious legal gap existed. So, what happens if an aircraft flying over your country crashes or drops something which damages people or property on the ground? Right. So before the Rome Convention, this was a patchwork mess. So there was no clear laws on deciding who is liable for the damage. Right? So this Rome Convention of 1952 replaces the Rome Convention of 1933 and the Brussels Protocol of 1938. Before the Rome Convention, this was a complete mess. National laws varied greatly. Some countries put full liability on the operators, others limited it, and some had no clear laws at all. And cross-border issues were chaotic. If a foreign aircraft caused damage, it was unclear whose law applied, whether it is the country of registration or the country where the incident occurred, and how much compensation was due or how victims could claim it. All this was unknown, and there were confusions with these issues. Other conventions of the time, like the Warsaw Convention of 1929, only dealt with passenger baggage and cargo liability during the air transport. So they did not consider the damage caused to people or their property because of an airplane flying over their country. So that was a legal problem. Imagine in 1930, a French aircraft crashes in Italy, damaging an Italian farmer's field. Right. So Italian law might require full compensation, but French law might have a liability limit. So no international rule said whose law should be applicable. Right. So if the farmer sued in Italy and won, France might refuse to recognize the judgment. That was the issue. This made aviation legally risky and politically messy, especially as more flights crossed national borders. So when we had more international flights, right? Warsaw Convention of 1929 covered only the air carrier liability to passengers and the cargo, not to the damage caused on the ground. And the purpose, as I mentioned, is creating uniform rules for aircraft owners or operators for damage of persons or property on the ground. Liability rule: the operator is liable for the damage, but liability is limited based on aircraft weight. And there should be an compulsory insurance against any such liability from the airline. Later, Rome Convention focused on damage caused by foreign aircraft to third parties on the surface. So the compensation in this case is limited, but the airlines are still liable to pay the compensation. And there is compulsory recognition and enforcement of foreign judgments in any such cases. In the 1933 convention, also regulated the right of arrest when an aircraft is seized for debt. In 1978, which is after this convention, the Montreal Protocol updated the Rome Convention so that the aircraft operators living in any member country are covered, and even if the aircraft is registered elsewhere. So aircraft is registered in a different country and the member is living in a different in some other country, it is still covered. The airline or the operator is still liable to pay the compensation. So that was the Rome Convention, which was updated in Montreal Protocol. Important point: India has not ratified the Rome Convention. Next comes the Geneva Convention of 1948. And this convention protects the rights of seller of aircraft bought on hire, purchase, lease, or mortgage. So now you need to understand these terms. The purchase, lease, mortgage, lender, lessor, lessee. So all these terms will be important in the exam. The Geneva Convention safeguards the rights of the seller, the lender, and the lessor when an aircraft is sold on hire, purchase, lease, or mortgage, ensuring their ownership or financial claim is legally recognized. The convention makes sure these rights are enforced even if the aircraft is taken to another contracting state, preventing the buyer from escaping obligations by moving the aircraft across borders. So, whoever is purchasing the aircraft, he cannot escape from the obligations or from the liabilities by moving the aircraft to a different country, moving it across the borders. Right? A seller is one who sells the aircraft for money. Lender is the one who gives a loan to get the aircraft, gives a loan to the borrower with the expectation of repayment. And lessor is the one who rents the aircraft, who gives the aircraft for rent, and the lessee is the one who's taking it on rent. Right? He's paying the rent for that particular aircraft to the lessor. Right? So there's this difference you need to understand. So that was Geneva Convention. Now coming to Cape Town Convention and Protocol 2001. The Cape Town Convention protects buyers and lenders when aircraft or aircraft equipment is bought or financed. Right? So Geneva Convention protected the seller, lender, or lessor, and the Cape Town Convention is protecting the buyers and lenders when aircraft or aircraft equipment is bought or financed. So it makes laws clear and enforcement fast. So investments in aircraft are safer. So it gives a confidence to the investors who wants to invest in aircraft or any of its parts by making the laws clear and the enforcements fast. Most importantly, India has ratified this convention and its protocol since 2008. Now, this might be a bit confusing, right? So let's get through all these conventions, compare them one by one. First, the Rome Convention focuses on damage caused by foreign aircraft to people on ground, people or property on the ground. It protects the victims on the surface, not on the aircraft, the victim on the surface. So, any damage caused to the victim on the surface or on the ground is covered by the Rome Convention. So, it sets rules for liability of aircraft operators, the airliners, or damage on the ground. The Montreal Protocol of 1978, which amended the Rome Convention, covers the damage caused by aircraft on the ground, same as the Rome Convention, victims on the surface. And the key difference here is that it includes the operators living in another contracting state. So Rome Convention had this loophole where where the operator living in another state might refuse to the liability. So Montreal Protocol amended the Rome Convention to include such operators living in other state or other countries. Geneva Convention focuses on the aircraft sold on hire, purchase, lease, or mortgage. It protects the rights of seller, lessor, or lender. One who is selling the aircraft, one who is giving the aircraft on rent, and one who is giving it based on a loan. It protects the ownership or financial rights of the seller across the borders. And the Cape Town Convention protects the aircraft and aircraft equipment financing. It protects the buyers, lenders, and investors, and ensures secure, enforceable international rights and fast enforcement to encourage investment. Now we are done with the three conventions. Let's practice a few questions to deepen our understanding on these topics. First question, the Rome Convention 1952 primarily deals with, is it registration of aircraft, liability of aircraft operators for damage on the ground, financing of the aircraft purchase, or rights of airline passengers? It covers the liability of aircraft operators for damage on the ground. So it protects the victims, right? That's the correct answer. And then the Montreal Protocol of 1978 amended the Rome Convention to include what? As we discussed, the Montreal Protocol of 1978 amended the Rome Convention to include operators living in another contracting state. So these operators cannot escape their liability. They are bound to pay the liability to the victims. The Montreal Protocol of 1978 focuses on liability of aircraft operators for such surface damage, aircrew licensing, aircrew financing rules, and sale of aircraft is the second one, right? The same question. The Geneva Convention of 1948 protects what? As we know, the Geneva Convention protects the seller lessor for aircraft bought on hire, purchase, lease, or mortgage. Right? Under the Geneva Convention 1948, the rights of the seller are valid only with the country of registration of the aircraft, only for domestic flights, even if the aircraft goes to another contracting state, or only for leased aircraft. So, since this convention is applicable to all the contracting states, right? So it is valid even if the aircraft goes to another contracting state. It's not only the country of registration. The Cape Town Convention of 2001 aims to what? Standardize airline operations, protect buyers, lenders, and investors, define liability, or regulate pilot training. So, liability for surface damage is defined in the Rome Convention and the Montreal Protocol, Montreal Convention, which amended it. But the Cape Town Convention protects the buyers, lenders, and investors in aircraft financing. Mostly it's focused on financing and give a confidence to such investors to invest in the aircraft and aircraft parts. Now, this is an application based question. An aircraft is registered in country A, operated by a company based in country B, and causes the damage on the ground in country C. Which convention or protocol ensures the operator can be held liable? Right? Is it Geneva Convention, Rome Convention, Montreal Protocol, or the Cape Town Convention? So the aircraft was registered in country A. It was operated by the country B and causes damage in country C. Right? So if you remember, we read that the Montreal Protocol is the one which prevents such operators from escaping because they were in a different country, right? So according to the Montreal Protocol of 1978, such operators can be held liable. Another application based question: a bank finances the purchase of an aircraft under a mortgage. The aircraft is moving to another contracting state. Which convention or protocol protects the bank's rights internationally? So the bank here is the financer for the purchase of the aircraft, okay, but the aircraft was moved to another contracting state, right? So which convention or protocol protects? The investors' rights are protected by the Geneva Convention. So Geneva Convention protects the lender, the seller, and the lessor during the financing of an aircraft. All right, that was it. Thank you for watching till this point. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comment section, and see you in the next one. Thank you.